You know, something that's been really big recently is compilations of games, with the most recent one being the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Cowabunga Collection that just released, and it was awesome. Hey, what's up everyone? GameDad here, and here are 10 rare games that I think we need on a compilation. Now, it's no secret to anyone that knows me or anyone that has been following the channel for a long time now that I have been going for a full set of N64 games. And when I was talking to my buddies Jay over at SquarePegs, Gary at RoXolid Productions, and John Riggs, we were all talking about the Cowabunga Collection and how awesome it was, and all of the cool compilations that could exist that don't yet. And Gary brought up, well, you know, one that I should talk about is N64, because for whatever reason, I love the N64, and even though it has a ton of garbage on it, there were actually some of the greatest games from the rare franchises and publishers and developing and everything that came out on the N64. Now, if you are here watching this video right now, hopefully it means that you watched the videos from the other three guys, and that has led you to this. If not, I will make sure to link them down in the description below. Now, being that I am almost done finishing the North American set for the N64 collection, I actually went through and looked for any of the rare developed or published games that came out on the console, and I have a nice little stack of those right here. Now, these are the games that I think would make for an amazing compilation, whether it was on Switch, Xbox, something like that. Yes, there is the Rare Replay, and that has a ton of great games on it, but these are the rare games that were specifically on the N64. Now, first up, we have 007 GoldenEye. Now, I do not know a single person that had an N64 back in the day and did not get down on some multiplayer with GoldenEye. The single-player campaign is absolutely fantastic. It doesn't age that well nowadays, but the multiplayer was key. Being able to do 4-player multiplayer with all of your friends and having so much variety in the weapons and the levels and everything, back then, this absolutely blew our minds, and it was so cool and so amazing that you could have a first-person shooter multiplayer game. Like, it was totally unheard of. Like, this was such a cool thing. You could sit down with all your friends and play some amazing James Bond first-person action. Now, up next we had Banjo-Kazooie, and this was Rare's answer to Super Mario 64, but it also added an extremely cool sidekick into the mix. Now, don't get me wrong, I do understand the importance of Super Mario 64, and I happen to really like the game. However, in my mind, Banjo-Kazooie is a far superior 3D platformer than Mario 64. The story in the game was fantastic, the platforming was excellent, other than, you know, some wonky camera controls, but that was every N64 game, not just this one. And just the dynamic between Banjo and Kazooie, and going through finding every single collectible, the levels, they were so vibrant, and the game was just an absolute masterpiece. And then up next we have the sequel to Banjo-Kazooie, and that is Banjo-Tooie. Now, this game actually takes place a couple years after you defeated Gruntilda in Banjo-Kazooie, but this game is just more of the same awesome shenanigans that you grew to love in Banjo-Kazooie. Now, personally, I like Kazooie better than I like Tooie, but overall, the game is still more of the same goodness and everything that was great about the first one, just with an updated story and some slightly updated visuals. Now, up next we have Blast Corps, and this game is just all about destruction. Everything that you see in this game, you blow it up, you run it over, you knock it down, you do whatever you gotta do, and you rack up points, and basically this game is just a, like, real-time destruction simulator, and it is so much fun to play, and I always have, no pun intended, a blast when I play this game. Now, up next, we have everybody's favorite foul-mouthed red squirrel, and that is Conker in Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now, this was my very first quote-unquote adult-themed game whenever I was growing up, and what I mean by that is the whole premise of the game is after a night of going out and binge drinking and getting blackout drunk, you wake up in some crazy foreign land with a massive hangover, and you are just on a quest to get back home and get back to your girlfriend. And Conker's Bad Fur Day is another example of such a super fun multiplayer experience. There are so many weapons and so many fun, inventive levels and stuff to play with all of your friends. This was another prime example, just like with GoldenEye, of a fantastic multiplayer experience on the N64. Now up next we have Diddy Kong Racing, and I've got to say, and this might be an unpopular opinion, let me know down in the comments if you disagree with me or if you agree with me, but this game is better than Super Mario Kart 64. There, I said it, it's out there, and it's fact. Not only are the levels in this game so much more dynamic, there's more of an actual overworld, you get way more uniquely designed characters. Not only do you have carts, but you also have hovercraft, you have airplanes, you have an actual story mode. The levels have so much more just dynamic color and range, and Diddy Kong Racing is so much fun. I absolutely love this game. It is one of my favorite racing games of all time, and one of my top games on the N64 itself. And that leads us into Donkey Kong 64. Now, another unpopular opinion, I actually really like DK64. I thought the game was super fun, and all of the new characters that they added, and the way they just brought the entire world to life in a three-dimensional world. I love the way that all the levels work, I love all of the platforming, and I really loved how the story progresses over time and helps you unlock different members of the Kong family, and going through collecting like all the gold bananas, everything. This game is just 3D platforming at its finest. Up next we have Killer Instinct Gold. Now, this one, I will admit, I didn't have a ton of experience playing this whenever I was a kid, but later on in life and, you know, starting to collect things like that, I picked it up, and it's pretty fun. It's definitely not my favorite fighting game, but they do have some really unique different characters, and they have revamped this franchise, you know, moving more into a modern world on Xbox, things like that. But overall, out of the Rare games, this is probably my least favorite, but it would be really cool to still see it on a compilation because I know a lot of people really love the Killer Instinct franchise. Up next, we have Mickey Speedway USA, and dare I say, this is a hidden gem on the N64. This is a fantastic little racing game. It is by no means a AAA racing title, Gran Turismo, whatever kind of thing, but it's actually a lot of fun, and it actually controls really well. If you love Disney characters and you love racing games or kart-style games, things like that, or you love things like the Cruisin' USA kind of franchise, I think Mickey Speedway USA would actually be a super fun game for you to check out because it's just wholesome family racing fun. Now up next we have Force Gemini, and this is what has now become your run-of-the-mill space third-person shooter kind of game. In the game, you are one of 3 members of a space law enforcement agency thing, and you are trying to stop a bunch of evil insectoid drones. It has a fantastic story and really fun gameplay, and it actually kind of gives an open world feel before open world was really a thing. And in typical Rare fashion, it actually has super fun multiplayer. That way you can get down on some deathmatch with all of your friends. Now, I know I said at the beginning of the video that these were 10 games that I wanted to see in a compilation, but there was actually an 11th game by Rare on the console, and it is actually a phenomenal game, and since this is my video, I get to make up the rules, and this rule says that I get to add one more to that list. And that game is Perfect Dark. Now, this is the very first game in the Perfect Dark franchise, and wow, did they just knock it out of the park with this first installment. The game is super fun, and as you go through playing as Joanna Dark, you are actually attempting to stop an extraterrestrial conspiracy by rival corporation Datadyne. You do, of course, have a solo campaign, which most games on the N64 did have a solo campaign, and that was the whole point of playing them, but they also had a co-op mode, including Deathmatch, as is the case with most Rare games. But something cool with Deathmatch is, in Perfect Dark, you could actually have bots that you could play against as well. So this game was a ton of fun whenever it came out, and it is a fine game to have in any collection. So there you have it, everyone. Those are my 11 picks for a really cool Rare compilation from the N64 era, and this could easily be something that gets put onto the Switch or onto the Xbox. Rare has always been known to be a phenomenal publisher, releasing absolutely top-tier AAA games throughout their entire existence, really. And I would absolutely love to see all of these games go into an actual physical compilation. Now, do you like any of the games that I put on this list? Do you agree? Are there games that you would take out? You can't really add anymore because this was all of them that was on the N64. But if you have any thoughts on that, let me know down in the comments below. And again, if you haven't, please make sure to go check out John Riggs' compilation video, Gary over at RoXolid Productions, and Jay from SquarePegs. Those are all awesome dudes, and they made absolutely wonderful compilation videos in the same vein as this one. Now, if you haven't already, then please be sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell. That way you can alert every time I've got a new video coming out. And a huge thank you to all of my patrons that you are seeing on screen right now. You are all amazing, and thank you for helping to support the channel each and every month. Now, as always, I'm GameDad. I thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later.